you don't have a guy who can really run up and down the floor that's above 6'10". Like
Yeah.
Jake Layman and Alfred Camino are your next guys, and Harkless.
Yeah, Nurk is going to have a rough night tomorrow, probably.
So for someone like myself, pretend I haven't seen every Blazers game. Why exactly is Jake Layman starting on this
because
team?
Mo Harkless is injured and they're keeping the rotation in order.
That
is 100% why.
Okay.
It's a Terry Stotts thing. This is something he's done his entire tenure in Portland. If a starter is injured, he will pull somebody from the deep bench to put them in there
Yeah. He prefers continuity to.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I didn't know there was a tie-in with the Amazon original series Patriot is coming back. And if you haven't Googled the guy who stars in Patriot, his name is Michael Dorman. Dead ringer with Jake Layman. It's bizarre. It's unsettling. I thought maybe some of that Amazon money was getting Jake Layman in the starting lineup.
He has done well.
Yeah.
The thing about him, the thing about that position for the Portland Trailblazers, they just want somebody in there who's not a liability. Be a plus defender, make a back cut, knock down a three. That's really all they're looking for from that position.
Yeah, and so far so good.
Yeah.
Speaking of Nurkic, who's been, he's playing really well this year. He signed the extension in the offseason. Where exactly does he rank for you guys in like the hierarchy of centers in the league? Because again, I've been really impressed with what I've seen so far, and his minutes are kind of down, but he seems like he's doing a great job.
Number one, baby.
Corbin, number one. You got him number one.
Number one. Yeah.
He kind of
every other center's garbage.
He smells like he's like a rich man's Jonas Valanciunas to me.
That's a fair. I think that's a fair.
I don't know if that's fair to Jonas, but yeah, sure.
Okay.
Decisively second tier. That's probably what I'd say. There are lineups. There are definitely lineups where he gets played out.
But there's also on the flip side of that, there are lineups where the Blazers. To think to the Blazers and Terry Stotts' credit this year, they have taken advantage of small ball lineups where in the past they tried to match small for small, but instead have been like, you know what, we have a big dude. Let's try to go to work inside.
Yeah, he crushed Towns last night. It should be noted, and that has probably more to do.
Poor Karl Anthony.
That probably has more to do with the fact that Karl Anthony Towns is a feckless weakling than Nurkic. But there's lineups where he really messes people up. He's an excellent defensive center. It's just that sometimes he gets run off the court. I mean, look, if Dirk was making $20 million or whatever, there would be times where I would be grabbing my collar and anxious about it. But he makes $11 million.
Yeah.
He basically makes exactly what his production is, and there are times when that production is inordinately useful. And so he's fabulous as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, he fits in that hierarchy where he's doing just enough. Like right now, I feel like there were some questions if it was a good use of resources with the extension. I guess it made sense. Because I think in the offseason, people were talking like, we got to upgrade. We got to do something big. Is it trading for a center? I mean, obviously, CJ McCollum kind of put his foot in his mouth wanting DeMarcus Cousins to come join the Blazers. But he's good. He also, speaking of Karl Anthony Towns, I'm cracking up like him, and another one of Nurkic's rivals, rivals, Nikola Jokic. I feel like the Cat versus Jokic argument has swapped in 5 months based on hardly any actual NBA basketball. I feel like if you surveyed the general public 5 months ago.
I mean, Jokic being good and Towns being bad has been...
It's swapped? Yeah. I feel like it was 80-20. The general NBA fans were like, Cat's better, just a few months ago, and very little's happened.
I held on to some really unsavory beliefs about Jokic for a long time because and
Nurk was his daddy. I mean,
yeah, because I wanted to believe so badly that Nurk was his daddy. But I've decided that my judgments were incorrect, and Jokic is actually good and cool.
What were you saying, Dan?
No, I mean, Nurkic does have he gets in his bag every time Jokic comes to town.
Yeah.
There's just no doubt about that. Jokic has had one game, I think it's the 5 they played or 6 they played, where he got the better of Nurkic. Nurkic has destroyed him every other game.
Yeah, Jokic doesn't care about that.
Yeah.
And I don't want to make this clear. I don't necessarily think that that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
like James Harden has that thing in him where he just sort of deals with the problem in front of him instead of, doing the Jordan thing where he obsesses over some imagined slight to get himself erect for the game. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think that's a more common approach that we're starting to see in the NBA. Dudes sort of valuing equanimity, and I think Jokic is one of those dudes.
So looking at the Blazers, looking at CJ McCollum, who is probably the only guy who is kind of slightly underperforming so far. Do you think, is there any thought maybe he's underperforming to tank his trade value to avoid any of these Jimmy Butler trades? Dan, I'll let you go first.
Nah, that's not, in my opinion, at all. Like,
my outlandish theory has no basis of truth?
Yeah, I mean, it particularly has no basis in truth. I'd even go as far to say.
The thing is that, like, I've been a proponent of breaking up Dame and CJ since the beginning. Like, I've never thought it was going to be something that really worked long term. I think CJ's a fantastic player. I think when offense is built around him, he can get you 25 to 27 a night and be uber efficient doing it. He's part of the reason he's playing subpar right now is they've taken the ball out of his hands. Mm-hmm. A third of the time last year, he was running the pick and roll for the Blazers. It's down to like 20% now. And every time he's on the floor, it's with Damian Lillard. He is the clear number 2 option. Last year and the years before, he ran the second unit for 12 minutes a night, and it was get buckets time. And
what they're doing this year is so weird that it's hard to know if that's going to keep doing that. Dan, do you mind if I talk about this before you?
Corbin, are you saying what they're doing by not having CJ run the second unit? Is that what's weird?
Yeah. Dan, do you mind if I talk about this first?
Yeah.
Okay. So Evan Turner's been on the team for a few years. He makes entirely too much money. For the last 2 years, I would say that the fan base sort of low key didn't care for him. This year, Terry is doing this thing with the second unit where he plays 4 shooters who are bigger, and he also plays Turner at point forward. And so basically it's a spread offense with Turner as the ball handler. And this has been bad for CJ's production, but it's also turned Turner from a huge problem into a weird asset. And so it's kind of creating this weird space where clearly CJ is losing production, because Turner is in a role where he can thrive and not be a drain on the team. And so if the team's successful, it's kind of hard to be like, they shouldn't do this. But at the same time, it's just definitely tagging CJ's production. Right, Dan? Everything I've said is true, right?
No, it's spot on. The thing is, like, the Blazers bench last year, I think they were like 28th or 29th in minutes played. Like, they didn't play. They were out there and the leash was short. And if things got out of hand real quick, Dame's coming back in, Nurkic is coming back in.
And Terry hates rookies too.
Yeah, that's also true. But this year, the Blazers bench lead the league in minutes played. Like, that's such a stark change, and it's because of the empowerment that they give into Evan Turner. They're basically running Evan Turner like in a Horns offense kind of deal where he's playing in the high post, but he's initiating from there. It's this is a terrible example, but I'm gonna use it anyways. It's a lot like what Denver's doing with Jokic, where the offense.
Yeah, that is a terrible example, but it does work.
They're operating with Turner in the high post and the pinch post and 4 shooters going around him. And the thing is like Seth Curry, who was supposed to be the bigger addition, hasn't really gotten going yet. It's been Stauskas. It's been Collins. The guys are coming in, knocking down shots. I want to say they were leading the league, or no, they fell to third now. Third in the league off the bench on rebounding. Like, who on that bench unit is a rebounder?
Well, Turner,
but I mean, the big
first position. But
Collins is a terrible rebounder for his size. Leonard's not a great rebounder. Like, the guys are getting out there, and somehow, some way, because they have 4 shooters on the floor, and Evan Turner, from most guards, is a mismatch in the post, it's working. There's a lot more space. There's a lot more area to take advantage of. And when you don't have CJ running isolation or pick and roll ball, more guys are getting involved. They're getting out in transition. The pace is picking up. And it's become this kind of like basketball utopia, equal opportunity offense that the starters have had for years, but never really made it over to the bench.
There's there's 2 questions about it. And one is, are people going to figure this out sooner or later?
Once tape comes out, exactly.
And the other thing is this being bad for CJ going to eventually be bad for the dynamic of the team? Because, basketball is a game, but basketball is also a meta game. And there's, and your production going up can always ding another player on your team. And that can cost that dude. And that can make that dude antsy. So far, it seems like CJ has been fine with it.
Yeah, there's an article that came out last night or this morning from CJ, from Jason Quick of The Athletic, discussing exactly this. Like, he says, I need to figure this out. He's being the good teammate. He's like, hey, if it gets Evan going, I'm all for that. And as long as we're winning. I think the winning here is the anesthetic for all of this.
My also thought would be, as an outsider, an actual Blazers outsider, looking in, does Stauskas keep hitting shots like he has through 10 games?
Yeah,
does Zach Collins
fair too.
keep playing as well as he's looked so far in the early season? Like, already in a very small sample size, like in his last few games, he isn't hitting, because he was hitting like 70% of his shots or something through like the first.
We're talking about Stauskas.
No, well, I'm saying Zach Collins too. Zach Collins was hitting.
Oh yeah, no,
he's been
through his first like 7 or 8 games, he was shooting 60% from the floor and 60% from 3. It was nutty. That's going to drop off, but that's going to drop off. But I would say I'm 90% sure that Collins is at the very least a functional NBA player. Yes,
and maybe even a very good NBA player. And
I'm still not there.
And so that's one I'm not worried about. Stauskas, on the other hand, could go regression city real quick.
I want to see the thing with Zach Collins. I want to see that rookie year haircut go away. He's still rocking the same look.
Yeah,
he needs to get some of that Portland look. He needs a little of that Joe Harris. How Joe Harris let it go. I need Zach Collins to maybe cut all that off.
Look, I'll say it if nobody else will. A little too many fashy haircuts on the squad.
Yeah, it's not great. When you see them on the sidelines wearing their weird NBA like zip up hoodie little things, they look like a college swim team or like a college water polo team, which is not, I don't know, just a bunch of white guys with short hair.
Myers is definitely the most college water polo player in the history of the NBA.
My God, can you imagine if he actually played water polo at 7 foot? Lord.
Yeah, he would mess people up.
He would be incredible.
Hey, you know what? Since we brought him up,
they call him the water giant.
Can we just give him his props for last night?
He brought the hammer right on Sunday night. He actually posted a negative score in my negative fantasy league where I was playing him. He got a little bit too much run. Accrued a few too many stats, so he stung me there.
Why do you have Myers Leonard in your fantasy league?
Well, it's a negative fantasy league, so you get points when you miss shots and commit fouls and things. So Myers, he's one of my big men. He's not great. He's an average role player in the negative fantasy league.
Oh, in the negative league.
yeah.
He was good last night, but also he played mostly in the fourth quarter after the Timberwolves went out there and kind of vomited everywhere and cried.
They had died. They had left the building. Thinking about this team and that they're not going to break up CJ and Dame, is there any other kind of move that you would like to see them make to improve their chances for this season? Or is this kind of a situation where Neil O'Shea is like, you know what, I made another playoff team. That's good enough for me. And I'm not even looking down my nose at that. As a Grizzlies fan, I'm all about, hey, baby, just make the playoffs every year. That's fine.
Okay, so this one's a little bit weird. And it has nothing to do with the basketball side of things right now. With the past Paul Allen, I don't think that even if they were a storybook year and they were one move away, that they would make a move.
Okay.
This team is going to be up for sale. You can't do anything with the actual financial assets on this team right now. Everything needs to be locked in for a prospective new owner. And I just don't think they're going to do that. Throw in the basketball stuff in that